Hello, everyone. This is our third show, and welcome to Our Cultural World Today, according to Dr. B. That's right, this is our third show, and welcome back to our show. I'm doing a little bit different this time. I'm not doing a live stream show, but I'm actually taping this show so that we don't have the technical challenges as we do with the live stream show. So this is going to be the regular format of our show, Our Cultural World Today, according to Dr. B. So again, welcome back to our show. Hopefully you will tune in every time, download and like and subscribe to our very brand new show that I just kicked off in September. So we're rolling right along with the requests from our viewers from our live stream show. So in this in our show, I will capture the major events in our world today that will cover news, politics, entertainment, sports, and humor, as well as health, but as well as humor and health. And so I just want to keep a more positive spin on and perspective to life in general. Because again, we live in some very challenging times here in 2020, and many times we forget to slow down and go a little bit deeper on many of these cultural issues. So that's the reason why my show is called Our Cultural World Today. We again, that's my take on the world. And of course, trained as a cultural medical anthropologist, cultural and medical anthropologist, I tend to focus on the cultural side of life. So with that said, this is show number 3. Again, I want to thank our sponsors, and we're looking for new sponsors. So, but really just trying to take in the show and providing you a little bit more of a deeper dive of some of these cultural issues of what I noticed during the past couple of weeks. And this is just during the past couple of weeks. And of course, it's September. And now here's our first topic that I want to talk about. The issue of voting. The issue of voting. Now, I brought this up in my podcast show, Race and Ethnic Relations, how voting is so important this election year, this year. And it's really, I'm kind of like talking to college students and the younger segment of our country, primarily because many times college students don't feel like their voice is being heard, or they're going to have an impact on any election, whether it's the primaries, whether it's the national election, whether it's local elections. But let me just say that every election is so important. And we're starting to get all the rollouts of the national elections, the presidential election. They're rolling out all their commercials. And pretty soon it's just going to be nonstop. It's going to be everywhere, 24/7. So when you're starting to see all these national campaign commercials, just think about, how does the candidate connect with you? Because your values, your beliefs, your issues are extremely important, particularly in 2020 and beyond. And the reason why I'm kind of focusing this message on the younger segment of the voting, because that 18 to 24 is instrumental when elections on a national scale or even on a local scale gets very close. And traditionally, the 18 to 24 have not turned out in record numbers. Well, this is a time for the 18 to 24 to turn out in record numbers and to voice your opinion for whatever candidate. Voice your opinion by your vote. Your vote is extremely powerful, empowering. And a matter of fact, it made me think about when I was 18 years of age and actually voting for the first time. And I'm going to date myself back in 1976, voting for the first time on a national level, and how I felt after going through the elections, going to the voting area, voting booth, and casting my ballot on the national elections at that time in 1976. And so that was really a chance for me to grow up as a college student, but really identify myself as an adult, that I'm actually casting a vote that I felt represent my interest on how the politics in the country should be. And so, but it was a great experience, and many times students don't feel that it's a great experience, but their voice is not heard. But it does give you an extra, to me, it gave me an extra momentum and belief and confidence that I can make a difference. So again, I just want to start off this show with the impact of voting. And voting on a regular basis, not just one time ever, but voting on a regular basis, locally, in your communities, in your county, in your states, and of course the national election. But really, just remember, politics and voting is really local. And again, I hear all the angst from my college students about this and that, and all complaining about all these different issues in the world, since they're all tied into so many different social media platforms and social issues and cultural issues from one country to another. Yet voting equals the playing field. Your vote is extremely important. So, and then you have to realize it does break down to race and ethnicity and all the parameters. So it's very important for each and every group, each racial and ethnic group, to express their vote, their ballot, and vote with their conscience. That's their best approach to making a selection on the individuals and the political organization that they feel like best represents them. So again, one of the key messages of this show number 3, vote your conscience. And then let's move on. Connected to, obviously, voting is what we see on a national level is our first woman vice president, who happens to be a woman of color, of African American and Indian descent, Kamala Harris, vice president on the Democrat side with Biden. Now, reason why I bring her up is that she's very vocal, very instrumental during the Democratic debates, but how her role is actually changing now that she has been the vice president candidate. I'm waiting to see how she is crafting her role, or how the party is trying to represent her role. And I'm just going to bring up my observation is that I'm waiting for more of a equal footing of her role and her impact, and the commercials that I was thinking about. I thought they would roll out commercials about her, but don't see on a national level practically any commercials about her at this point in time in mid to late September. And so, again, it's very fascinating of how they still seem like the Democrats are still trying to negotiate how she is perceived, how they want her to be perceived by the national audience. And just recognizing that, politics is so intense. It's so intense. Of course, on not much on a local level, but it does get very intense. Now, let me just say this. When I lived in Arkansas, it was very intense back then. From one state to another, it really depends on a local level. And again, politics is very local, and it does get intense on a local level. Yet now, on a national level, with so many groups wanting to be represented, and to have Kamala Harris, vice president nominee, and she's not the first, but a woman of color being on the ticket. I'm kind of curious of how she's represented, and then how the communities are perceiving her. The various ethnic communities, African American communities, Indian communities, just the voting bloc of women in general. What is their take on Kamala Harris as vice president, and her stance on a wide variety of issues? So it's going to be interesting how her image changes now that she's, again, after a few more, and it's been almost a month now that she's been identified as the vice president, on the Democratic side. So I'm waiting to see how it's impacting people's perceptions, and how the party is going to kind of see how they're going to project her image in a different way now. In a different way. So I just want to give some airtime on, again, because I don't see it on a national level right now. I don't see her on in too many advertisements. It's just Joe Biden. And again, very interesting. Just my cultural observation of how once a person of color gets to the national level, the national scene, how they must readjust their image. How they must readjust their image. Very similar to Barack Obama. Once he became the nominee, how his image had to change as a presidential candidate, and a firm presidential candidate. And so, and that was very effective. So now I'm just doing my observations culturally, and how Kamala Harris' image will change on a national level. So that's our second major news of September. Another issue I want to bring up in our cultural world today, is what I've noticed also with the social unrest in our country, of how different institutions have reacted, and one way or another. And one thing that's very interesting is my observation of the NFL players, the National Football League players. As you very well know now, the NFL started the season. We're in week 2 of the NFL season, and now the players had to get together and really come together before they start the season, even though they're playing in the midst of COVID, and there's few fans in the stadiums, and it seems like every week is more and more fans are coming. But one of the deciding factors why the players wanted to play is to showcase their own views and their own platforms about the social unrest, and how they feel about the racism that has been going on in our society, and particularly the tragedies that has happened in the African American community just within the past several months. And so it's interesting how they really come together, and symbolically, and wants to show to the mainstream audience, all these national broadcasts, all these national games. And let's be real, NFL football is a major source of revenue for a lot of industries, particularly television, sports, advertisement, across the board. And so the players from each team decided collectively to join in the protest. Not just the players, but the coaches, staff, and the teams. And each team goes about it differently. And that's very fascinating. And just observing the different teams and the owners, and see how the owners and the teams are reacting. How do they show their disdain for the discrimination and racism that has happened in society? And some teams have sent out messages. Some teams, now just doing the observation during the beginning of games, where the teams, when they have the national anthem, and then they've decided to have the Negro national anthem at the beginning of games. So just observing the teams, how they respond. Some of the players stand and holding arms collectively with their coaches. Some players kneeling down. Some players holding their hands up in a fist. It's a wide, and some players have their hands on their chest. So it's freedom of expression during those moments when you're beginning to play a game, and yet the symbolism of these national anthems, the Negro National Anthem, decided upon the Players Association, and then the National Anthem. Some teams didn't even come out at the first weekend on either of the national anthems. And then how the teams are able to display their support for different movements like the Black Lives Movement. Matter of fact, some of the players have on their back of their helmet Black Lives Movement, or they have the name on of a person who was killed on their helmets. So again, it's to me, that's a great sign of support. These are predominantly men of color playing a sport. The owners, the league makes billions, millions, billions of dollars, and yet they should have the right to express their opinions about what's happening in society today. So I'm in all support for the organized protest, very structured and yet very resounding, saying, no, we do not agree. And it's all players that show their disdain and their dislike of what's happening in society. And I am very pleased how seem like 99.9% of the players have come to support this type of situation that's happening in our country at this point in time. So hats off to the NFL players, the coaches, the staff, ownership is supporting the players, and I just hope it continues, not just during this season, but next season as well, and the next season, and the next season. So again, this is a great start, and I just hope. Oh, let me just say this. Oh, I'm going to say this because I saw the game. Now, when this first happened on the very first game, national game, it was a Thursday night game. I'm just going to mention this in Kansas City. It was Kansas City versus Houston Texans. And when the players came out, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, we're talking about the Coach Reed, all the Chiefs players, as well as the Texans players, standing arm in arm together at the beginning of, before the game started, when the national anthem was going on. And they stood there collectively together, and the fans in the stands actually booed. Can you believe the fans in the stand of Kansas City Chiefs, the champions, Super Bowl champions, the fans in the stands, they actually booed the players and the coaches. And you play the tape, you can hear the boos. And it continued for maybe 5, 10, 15 seconds, 20, and then it got then it stopped, and other noise came up. But you look at the players' reactions. The players stood strong. Patrick Mahomes stood strong. Andy Reid stood strong. So that's what's going to happen. You're going to get pushback when, as a player, trying to stand for what they believe in, and that was something that I think it caught everyone by surprise, but the players stood strong in the midst of a pushback from the fans. But I would say majority of fans are in support. I would say about 70 to 80% of the fans are in support. I didn't do a survey, but again, after that point in time, in other games, I haven't heard any boos in the stands when there's fans in the stadium. So again, the players stay strong. This is just finishing week 2 in the NFL. So that was interesting to see. So again, number 3 of our show, the NFL players and support of and doing their formal and straightforward protest. I'm glad to see that where they come together. Another topic that I want to talk about, which just happened last night. Let me say, on a lighter note, oh my God, on a lighter note, guess what happened last night at the Emmys? Now the Emmys had to design it a little bit differently because they couldn't bring the actors and actresses to Hollywood, and because we just don't collectively bring people together yet. People had to stay at home and doing things by Zoom. Well, guess what? The big news from the Emmys last night, the big winner for the first time, an African-American lead actress won in a drama series, and that African-American lead actress, I'm just going to say the lead actress was Zendaya won for her role in the HBO series Euphoria. That's right. Zendaya won the role for Best Leading Actress in a Drama Series for her role in Euphoria. Now, I've never seen the show, but apparently her character name is Rue, and she is being challenged because she suffers an addiction. And apparently, really, I have no doubt about Zendaya. Matter of fact, I've watched Zendaya career since she was on Disney, on Disney, and starting in her role as a kid actress. Now she is 24 years of age, and she just happened to be the youngest actress to win the Emmy Award for actress at this stage. Actually the youngest actress to win. Youngest person to win an Emmy. So again, didn't you see? Oh, I just saw how she celebrated with her family. It was fantastic. She had her family all around her at home, and she was just phenomenal. She's a very fascinating, very beautiful young lady, and she just has a certain charisma. She's down to earth, and yet she just showcased her talents at another level now. Because many times when you come on as a Disney star, and the stars do their Disney acting at a young age, they tend to move on and lose momentum. Well, Zendaya has not lost momentum. She's actually elevating to another level, really working on her craft as an actress, and already just rewarded for her commitment to her craft as an actress. And it was really nice to see how she responded. Oh, just look at the little snippet of video, how she responded by winning. She just very charismatic. So again, and let's just give props to her parents too, Kazande and Claire. He's an African American, she's a white Caucasian female, and I don't know exactly her ethnicity, but they are a mixed family, and she has a large family, and they continue regardless of the pushback they received when she was a kid, and how she continued to stay in the business, and people just don't know how to react sometimes when professionals today highlight their families, their mom and dad, and their mom and dad just happen to be of different racial and ethnic background. It's okay. It's okay to be, and that's a good thing. But people don't know how to react. But it's really nice to see how Zendaya just have embraced it and continues to move forward without any hesitation and celebrates her heritage very well. So again, that's what mainstream and all of us have to get used to. And many times within groups, they're not used to mixed families. But guess what? It's 2020. Move on. It's a cultural thing. It's not. Let's not go backwards. We're moving forward. So again, I celebrate Zendaya for winning Best Actress, Leading Actress in a Drama Series, the HBO series Euphoria, and being the youngest actress to win an Emmy. Salute. And then now, also last night, what happened last night? I'm 25 minutes, I'm getting ready to wrap up. Guess who just made a major announcement yesterday, and I just saw the snippet, the video. My boy Deion Sanders, primetime Deion Sanders, football player, ex-football player, Hall of Fame football player. Well, you know, in the past several years, he has been doing multiple things, doing work for the NFL Network, doing coaching high school team. Well, just yesterday, he formally announced that he will be the head football coach at Jackson State University. Deion Sanders, based in Florida, but he's going to be, just received the offer, and I'm sure it was in the works, and so he has decided to change his career. He left NFL Network after so many years that everyone knew that he wanted to do something different. He's decided, and you should see I saw the rollout when he was announced at Jackson State. Now, Jackson State University is a historically black college in Jackson, Mississippi, and it was established in 1877. It's over 142 years old, and they have esteemed alumni in football, such as Walter Payton, one of the greatest running backs ever in the NFL. Also, Lynn Barney, defensive back for the Lions back in the day. Jackie Slater, offensive tackle for the LA Rams at that time. And Jimmy Smits for Jacksonville Jaguars. But yesterday, look at the clip. Pull up the clip of how Deion accepted his new head coaching job at Jackson State. They actually had a big announcement. They had the cars rolled out. He came out in this big production. The band was brought him out there. The band, the marching band, and then he comes out of this big limo, and there he comes out with his wife, Tracy Edmonds, soon-to-be wife or fiance Tracy Edmonds. Of Tracy Edmonds, she's a mogul herself. She's a business owner and formerly married to Babyface and also connected to Eddie Murphy. So, but Tracy Edmonds was right there, and he goes up on stage. Now, the moment of which Deion accepted, he broke down in tears. He was on stage, broke down in tears, very emotional. And it just shows his commitment to Jackson State football, his commitments to HBCUs, his commitment to his folks. And he just broke down in tears how emotional he was and how appreciative of this opportunity to actually be the head football coach of Jackson State University, HBCU. And he had plenty of offers to do other things, but he felt that it was time for him to get back to his roots. And that's the reason why, one of the reasons why he said he accepted the job at Jackson State University. So kudos to Deion. Kudos to Deion to giving back to the HBCU. Man, it's gonna be prime time at Jackson State for quite some time. So yes, kudos to Deion Sanders. Prime time. Now, and finally, wrapping everything up, the humor of the week, the humor that I see that's coming, that's related to football as well. One of the funniest things, now that college football is starting in its third week, getting ready rev up to its third week. College football has taken a turn, and more teams and leagues are starting their season. Now, what was so funny is the Big Ten Conference. The Big Ten Conference. Remember, at the beginning of the football season, well, during at the end of summertime, the Big Ten officials said, "We are not going to have football season. We've done our homework. We've talked to the presidents of all the Big Ten universities. We've had the information from our best medical advisors regarding COVID. We have decided, and they have decided not to have college football during the 2020 season." Well, guess what happened last week? They totally reversed. They totally reversed their stance against not having football, and they said, "Let's have football." And they're starting the season in mid to late October. And the reason why is that a full reversal. Of course, they saw the other leagues, the NFL's playing. They saw the smaller colleges playing, but it really came down to the NCAA was going to be sued by practically every Big Ten team, but particularly how the parents and the players wanted to play. So the parents protested friendly in a nice way, non-violent, went to the NCAA office and had a protest, just had a statement, want to be heard. It was those parents, it was the players, the named players, renowned players in their wanting to play, as well as key other elements, putting pressure on officials that are trying to tell everybody else what to do. Well, the players, the parents understand the risk, the coaches understand the risk, and they're willing to have a season. We don't know if it's going to continue, but they're willing to at least do their part and have a season, because many players, this is their one and only opportunity, and you just don't get it back. So I thought that was so funny, because the Big Ten, very conservative. Oh yes, the Big Ten has decided not to. But well, guess what? A total reversal total reversal, and now they're playing. So that was to me very humorous. So there you go. Those are the major topics of our cultural world today. Talking about voting, talking about Kamala Harris, talking about the NFL players, talking about Zendaya, talking about Deion Sanders, and of course how so funny, the Big Ten. You just never know. Total reversal, and you just never know what happens in society when there's momentum in a different way, and it happens. It's okay to admit you're wrong. It's okay. Okay, so there you go. This is our cultural world today, according to Dr. B. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe and please like. Peace out, everybody. See ya.